Okay, let's talk about a weird problem we're all facing. We have more of everything, more access, more food, more entertainment than any humans in history. So why do so many of us feel kind of empty? Let's get into it.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? It feels like we should be living in a golden age of happiness, but for a lot of people, it feels more like an age of anxiety. And the numbers back this up. Rates of depression, anxiety, and addiction are just climbing and climbing. What on earth is going on?
I mean, just look at this. It's a total mismatch. On one side, you've got all the promises of the modern world: wealth, freedom, a phone in your pocket that can show you literally anything you want. But on the other side, you see the reality for so many of us. It just doesn't add up.
To figure this out, we actually need to look inside our own heads, because the answer isn't really out there in the world, it's in the way our brains are wired. It all comes down to a really powerful, ancient system that's designed to do one thing: keep us in balance.
And here's the first mind-blowing piece of the puzzle. Your brain doesn't have a happy corner and a sad corner. Nope. Pleasure and pain are basically roommates living in the same neural neighborhood, and they're always in a state of push and pull. The name for this biological balancing act is homeostasis, and it's your body's #1 job, 24/7. It works to keep everything on an even keel, not too hot, not too cold, not too up, not too down. Think of your brain as a tireless security guard, always trying to get things back to a neutral, stable baseline.
The best way to picture this is to imagine a perfectly level seesaw right in the middle of your brain. When something good happens, you eat a piece of chocolate, you get a like on social media, the pleasure side goes down. When something painful happens, the other side goes down. And your brain's main goal: to get that seesaw back to level always. So here's where the trouble starts. Our modern world, with all its amazing conveniences, is constantly and aggressively stomping on the pleasure side of that seesaw, and our poor brains are just scrambling to keep up. We're about to see how all this stimulation actually starts to tip the whole system over to the pain side.
Right, so our brains evolved over millions of years to get a nice little bump of dopamine, that's the pleasure molecule, from things like finding a ripe piece of fruit. But now, look at the kind of dopamine hits we get today. The rush from junk food or endlessly scrolling a social media feed. It's not a little bump. It's a massive, unnatural tidal wave that our ancient wiring was just never built to handle. So, what does your brain do when it's hit with this tidal wave of pleasure? Well, it fights back. To bring that seesaw back to level, it has to compensate. You can imagine it sending out these little pain gremlins to jump on the other side. This isn't your brain trying to be mean, it's just desperately trying to restore that all-important balance, that homeostasis. But, and this is a huge but, this constant rebalancing act has a major side effect. Over time, it creates what's called a dopamine deficit. Basically, our baseline level of happiness starts to tilt downwards, and this kicks off a vicious cycle that is incredibly hard to escape. Okay, so here's how that cycle traps you. Step 1, you get that big hit of dopamine. Step 2, your brain sends the pain gremlins to the other side to balance it out. But here's the key. After the pleasure wears off, the gremlins hang around for a bit. This means your seesaw is now tilted toward the pain side. Your baseline is literally lower than before. And what happens next? You now need an even bigger hit just to feel normal again. This is so important to understand. At this point, you're not even chasing pleasure anymore. You're just trying to escape the discomfort of this dopamine-depleted state. You're stuck in a loop, craving more and more, not to feel good, but just to stop feeling bad. And that, my friends, is the biological recipe for addiction. And this quote just hits so hard because it sums up the whole tragedy of the situation. The very things we turn to for a quick escape or a little bit of joy actually end up robbing us of our ability to enjoy anything at all. The simple things, like a conversation or a walk in the park, they start to feel flat and boring. Okay, that was a lot of doom and gloom, I know. But here is the genuinely good news. You are not broken, and you are not stuck. You can absolutely reset this system. The solution is real, it's powerful, and it's probably the exact opposite of what you think it is. Yep, you heard me right. To fix a system overloaded with cheap pleasure, you have to willingly and intentionally push down on the pain side of the seesaw. I know it sounds completely backwards, but it works because of the very same brain science we've been talking about. So what does this healthy pain actually look like? Well, we're talking about anything that requires real effort and maybe a little discomfort.
Pushing yourself through a tough workout, jumping into a cold shower, or even just sitting down to do that hard, focused work you've been avoiding. It could even be a dopamine fast, just taking a day off from all those high reward hits.
And this is where the magic happens. When you intentionally press on the pain side of the seesaw, your brain's balancing mechanism kicks in again. But this time, to get back to level, it has to add weight to the pleasure side. And it does that by releasing its own feel-good chemicals, endorphins, serotonin, and yes, dopamine. But this is a lasting, resilient kind of good feeling, the kind you have to earn.
This quote absolutely nails it. The whole point isn't to avoid pain, it's to use it. It's about choosing your challenges. Because when we do that, we activate our body's own incredible, built-in system for creating real, sustainable well-being. And we finally get our seesaw back to level.
So that leaves all of us with a really important question. This isn't about radically changing your entire life overnight. It's much simpler than that. It's about choosing one small, intentional act of effort. Maybe it's taking the stairs. Maybe it's a 5-minute cold shower. Or maybe it's just putting your phone away and reading a book for 20 minutes. What's one thing you can do today to start tipping your own seesaws back toward balance?